Good day, everyone. Today, we are going to be exposing the real manipulation behind the drama, featuring Deb Scotland Yard, Trevor Coult MC, and Avid Gardner. All right, let's talk about this clearly and calmly, because this whole situation has become quite messy, twisted, and packed with narratives that are simply not true. It actually is a whole lot of mindfuckery by these three individuals. So this video is to address what is very obviously a coordinated setup and diversion by Fiona, Trevor, and Deborah. Trevor's personal assistant and lead moderator. A calculated move designed to redirect attention and cover up the chaos that Trevor has created over the last few days following his attack on another content creator called Bookworm, and the diversion attempt by Fiona when she jumped up on Candor's live just yesterday. And honestly, why Trevor, Fiona, and their so-called dream team think that as subscribers we are so stupid to not see the games being played is absolutely astounding. Now we have the latest accusation from Trevor, claiming that I somehow caused the infighting between Candor the Enigma, Meghan Markle's debacles, and Trevor over a four-way conversation that I was actually not even party to, and that this supposedly has resulted in Becky being abused for weeks. The timing is interesting, isn't it? Isn't it very coincidental that this accusation suddenly appears the exact day after Deborah returns to duties? Almost like they needed a new scapegoat. Almost like she needed to save Trevor, her ride to die. Almost like the blame needed to be shifted and fast. But here's the thing. I'm here to show you the receipts. I'm here to prove exactly who has been behind the lies, the gaslighting, and the manipulation happening in this community. Because Trevor, once again, you have shown everyone exactly who you are, mate. You're a coward and a narcissist. You openly admit that you have never had a one-on-one conversation with me. You have never spoken to me privately. Yet you choose to slander me online, not once, but twice now, based entirely on lies fed to you by others. You don't have the courage to have the conversation with me first on either occasion. And to prove my point, you even admitted that you deleted the email I sent you without reading it because it was vile, evidently. How would you know that, Trevor, if you hadn't read it? Well, no problem, mate. I will let the people read it for themselves. Your letter is contained at the end of this video. I will let people read it for themselves and come to their own conclusions because, unlike you, Trevor, I do not treat subscribers as though they are unintelligent. Your words, mate, not mine. Okay, so let's look at the facts. Over the last 3 days, Trevor has put out a series of embarrassing videos and live streams. It is all culminated in today's video where he focused on me and has called me a liar. During one live stream, I believe it was on Sunday, he even attacked another creator called Bookworm, and then spent the following 3 days of videos scrambling to try save some face, refusing to take any responsibility for his own actions, and instead blaming a subscriber who simply asked a question about Prince Harry. Rather than just saying, look, I don't know the answer right now, I'll come back to you in my next video, he chose to belittle Bookworm, question her integrity, and dismiss her work. Very much what he's doing to me right now. I don't know, mate, do you have something against females, women, South African women? Just a question I'm asking. His behavior escalated entirely because of his own reactions, not because somebody manipulated him or set him up. This is classic pattern of narcissistic behavior, especially common in online personalities. So let's strip his rant down to its absolute core, what he said in the last 3 days. Well, what he's saying is, I'm always right. I am important. If you question me, you're weak or stupid. If you stay, you have to accept me exactly as I am. I will not change. And loyalty matters more than the truth. Hmm. Speaks volumes, doesn't it? He frames himself as under attack, but still superior. So some of the key things he keeps on repeating are people are pretending to be him, people are spreading lies, fake accounts everywhere, people are sending explicit images, subscribers and other creators are gullible, weak, or hateful. He's unfairly targeted, but always survives it like a hero or martyr. That victim card is wearing thin, Trevor. So what this really comes down to is I need you to see me both as a victim and as a stronger, smarter, and better than anyone else. He continues framing himself as a leader of a mature, decent community, someone above other YouTubers who aren't clickbait, a person whose sources are the only trusted ones, and quite conveniently, they align with his views. Someone who doesn't need to change, a lone figure who stands alone and never takes a knee. What he really is saying is if you disagree with me, you are inferior. But if you agree with me, you are intelligent. This intellectual gatekeeping, he's emotionally destabilizing people. If I'm intelligent, then then you must be over here with me. That's what he's saying. If another way, he divides the community and maintains control. And what he's doing with me today is absolutely conquer and divide. He continues framing himself as a leader. Sorry, apologies. He frames the world in black and white terms. There's us, his loyal supporters and mature adults, and them, haters, gullible people, weak people, and outsiders. This discourages independent thinking. Subscribers are subtly trained to fear being seen as one of them. He mentions figures like H.G. Tudor and Lady C as credible sources. He even claims to have received an email from H.G. Tudor about his live stream. Is it true? Possibly not. This is classical triangulation, using third parties to validate himself and to manipulate his audience. He frames his aggression as if it's transparency. He says things like, I haven't got a filter. So he weaponizes his PTSD. I just say it as it is. And if you're offended, YouTube isn't for you. We'll remember that one, Trev. Let's come back to that at the end. YouTube isn't for you if you're offended, if you've got thin skin. So the translation of that is he refuses to take any accountability of harm for any of his words. This is a common narcissistic defense, cruelly rebanded as authenticity. He demands loyalty without any responsibility. He expects subscribers to defend him, not question him, not bring outside opinions, accept insults without reacting. But he reserves the right to insult others, mock critics, and dismiss feelings. This imbalance is key. Loyalty is demanded, but accountability is never offered, creating a one-sided dynamic where his supporters are controlled while he remains an untouchable. He frames himself by over-asserting identity and status. In his previous video to the one today, he repeated this multiple times, and he repeats it in this video today, emphasizing his real name, not using an avatar. He stands by his name, proud of who he is, highlighting his achievements, very much like Meghan Markle in her soap commercial, saying he's comfortable in his own skin. So why do narcissists do this? Well, when somebody feels internally insecure, they overly insert identity and status. Funnily enough, Bookworm recently posted a picture of herself, a photo of herself for her Christmas message. And what about H.G. Tudor? The content creator he's using for clout? This is another way of inflating status while leveraging others to validate himself. So, Trevor, do you hold, is H.G. Tudor not credible because he's behind an avatar? and a fake name. He also frames his emotions in a performative way. He says things like, I'm crying inside. Look how how offended I am. But he immediately mocks the idea of being offended. This is simply performative emotion, not vulnerability. It is meant to mock critics, not connect. Now, you might recall that MMD had a live over the weekend about narcissism. And in there, she mentioned these 4 slides. And as I go through the rest of my presentation, I'll be touching on each one of these. The slide at the bottom, in the bottom right-hand corner, the items in pink are everything that we've just covered with Trevor. We will also discuss and show you clearly how he uses triangulation, not only with H.G. Tudor and Lady C to bring credibility to his argument. He's obviously been called out with going after bookworm, so bringing in those heavy names is to try to recover some of his bad behavior. But I'll also talk about how he uses triangulation with others within his community to manage and control his subs. So let's talk about today's live. Let's get to the truth. So you may recall, for people that actually have seen his live, in there he mentioned that first of all, he started his live where he said that, if you can't control the fact that I react, and if you take offense that I call you stupid, remember the words, that if you're not intelligent, then you must be stupid. Well, then the internet's not for you, that you must go. And he was even willing enough in the previous live to actually say that he's willing to lose subs if that's the way they feel. Okay. What Trevor is not telling you in any of his stuff about bookworm or here, he's not reflecting on any criticism. So any criticism he's received, he's effectively giving you the middle finger. He's not taking any responsibility for his words or his actions. He's not showing any curiosity to learn or have a growth mindset. He's allowing disagreement, and he's not allowing healthy debate. So he's not allowing disagreement, and he's not allowing healthy debate. So if you don't agree with him, well, he's pretty much telling you to fuck off. Trevor the King, despite claiming he values constructive criticism, Trevor, I call bullshit on that one. Okay, so let's get into the truth of what's actually about today. So in the live today, after he got that little bit in the front finished, the remainder of the 6 minutes of his rant was that epiphany has come. And, he has found out who is the root cause behind this 4-way communication and all the hate that he's seen and all the criticism that he's received recently around this 4-way conversation. And oh my goodness, it happens to be me. Oh, now that's very interesting. So let's peel the onion on what actually happened with that 4-way conversation and really show the truth, because somebody has been protected here. If she wants to play this game, let's have a look. Okay, so how was I involved in this 4-way conversation? Well, I received a phone call from Meghan Markle's debacles. It was late in the afternoon. She had received a phone call at 1:30 a.m. her morning with 3 people on the call. It was Candace, Jane, and Becky. And the conversation actually was about me. I've discussed this in a few of my presentations before, in a few of my videos, and I'll talk about it again. The conversation was actually about me, and it was trying to have her be a peacekeeper to try and resolve the fighting that was happening between Candace and myself. Jane and Becky had only nice things to say about me. Now, when the conversation started, this is based on my conversation with not only MMD, but also with Jane and also with Candace, actually, and also with Becky. So all 4 of them have confirmed this. There was a little bit of talk about Candace, just a little bit, about Trevor. Okay. Jane, I think, has come forward and said that said that he's maybe a little bit hypocritical because he was being very critical of Candace having Michelle meltdown on his live. And Trevor had called him to account and said, "How dare you have Michelle Meltdown on your life?" And Jane thought that was a bit hypocritical because just days before, Trevor was on slams. Okay. Jules mentioned to me, or MMD mentioned to me, that conversation about, whilst there was a little bit of, let's say, bitching that happened about Trevor, it was all over and done with very quickly. And the whole conversation revolved around how they were going to approach me to try and have peace between Kendo and myself, and hopefully get an apology from both of us. Okay. Deb Scotlas, or now what she's called Deb Scotland Yard, asked me in communications, as I'm showing you now. Now, why am I showing private comms? Because there's no other way that I can actually defend my integrity. So Trevor, you've come out and called my integrity into question. And I was waiting for this because, surprise, surprise, Deborah, Cindy, Fiona, and others have said that, my standards are too high. They can't hold up to my integrity. They can't hold up to my standards. I was wondering when you were going to try pull that card and try to call my integrity into disrepute. Well, you've called it now. And one way I am going to defend myself is to show the truth. So I'm going to show you who played a game in this four-way conversation. So Deb's asked me, I'm back. What did Jules have to say? So Jules being MMD. So as you can see, people can read on the screen, I mentioned to her pretty much that the conversation actually was about resolving a a fight between Kando and myself. I mentioned, as highlighted in red, a little bit that they were bitching, I couldn't spell that day, about Trevor, but please not, we can't say anything because it'll throw MMD under the bus. So this was a private conversation between Deborah and myself, where I was updating her with what the conversation was, and the conversation mainly happened to be around me and Kando actually making peace. The whole bit there was about that. The whole bit there on the next page was about that. Yeah? Where I went away thinking whether or not I wanted to have an apology from Lloyd or from Kando and for us to actually resolve this. The bit about Trevor was nonsense, absolute nonsense. This conversation had nothing to do with you, Trevor, nothing. This was about Kando and I reaching a ceasefire and apologizing. So now let's take a step back, Trevor. You said on your live, you do not know me. You've never had a private conversation with me. You've actually never read anything from me because you deleted my email. So, Trevor, I'll ask you this. How did you find out about this conversation that eventually resulted in you calling not only myself, but MMD and Kando a cunt? If I didn't speak to you, Trevor, how did you find out about it? Was it osmosis? Did I do smoke rings? Or did Deborah tell you? I think Deborah fed this to you. I think Deborah took a narrative to you, Trevor, and she manipulated the situation to benefit you and herself. Okay? Why is it important now that this is all of a sudden coming up? Well, what did Michelle say the last few days? On Michelle Meltdowns, she announced, oh, hang on a second, she's going to be talking to Bronwyn. She would like to understand what Bronwyn knows because she wants to get to the bottom of what's going on. Oh, that's why Deborah, Trevor, and Fiona do not want me to talk to anyone else. Because if I show what I know and they show me what they know, well, the game's up, isn't it? Is it that? Or, Deborah, is it because Jules was going to do a thing on Miles Carter? Why is it important now? It's been months, Trevor, that MMD has been asking you for an apology for calling her a cunt. It's been months that she's asked for clarity from you. Didn't she phone you? I think she did. You phoned Lloyd, you shut him out, put him in his place. How dare this conversation come up? Jules rang you and you told her to fuck off. And since then, the two of them and Jane have been asking for explanations. But that's not all. That's not all. Let's carry on. Let's carry on because I think there's more to be said. Okay? It didn't just end there. What then transpired is that Deborah shared a private conversation she had with MMD, with me, asking me, demanding me what on earth? Didn't have a clue what the conversation was about, as you can see with the shared conversation. She then came to say that MMD was threatening her. Okay? When I had the chance to actually read through the conversation, as you can see here, I reminded Deborah, but hang on a second, Deborah, you knew about the four-way conversation. I told you about it. Yet, Deborah, you went and you told everyone it was Becky. Not me. You did. Even gets worse, huh? Let's have a bit of a look. Okay? I'll leave it here for a minute for you to read. Becky phoned me the next day. So after the four-way conversation, Becky phoned me the next day and we actually had a 2-hour conversation on the phone. And she told me she had spoken to Trevor. So not only did you tell me, Deborah, Becky told me. Now remember, I've never spoken to Trevor. I don't have any contacts with Trevor. He's never read anything of mine. So how would I know this? Unless Deborah and Becky told me. Okay? Now remember, Trevor's spoken to Lloyd. Trevor has spoken to MMD. Trevor has spoken to Becky. Yet I am the liar. How am I so powerful that Trevor will then go on with a lie when I don't have any contact with the man? Pretty impressed with my abilities. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So continuing the conversation, Deborah confirmed that Becky passed the names to Trevor. Becky told him in her conversation who was on the four-way conversation. Okay? So according to Deborah, she was shown in complete confidence a message between Becky and Trevor. And Trevor then blocked Becky because he was angry with her at the time because of that. But she was also angry with her because she had recorded Cindy's conversation. So, Trevor, how am I the liar? Gets even worse. So, Jane, you don't know this. So this will be news to you, Jane. Jane was blocked for other reasons. Because Deborah asked Trevor a favor to block Jane. Why? Because she was laughing on the panel. Now, funny that, so was Becky. Becky gets a pass. Why does Becky get a pass and not Jane? Well, Becky's husband's friends with Trevor. Quite coincidental that Trevor's coming in to save Becky, isn't it? Jane, no, she's not valid. No, Jane's not worthy enough. Not worthy enough for that. So, I ask you again, Trevor, Deborah, and Fiona, how am I the liar? Now, you might say, why is Fiona involved? Well, funny enough, 10 minutes before MMD had her live scheduled today, she gets flooded by messages from Fiona going, Told you shouldn't have been friends with her. You should never have trusted Bronwyn. So you haven't worked together. Debs didn't give the messages. Fiona didn't influence. No. Trevor being the puppet just to go and do the live. No, you guys haven't worked together. No, it wasn't similar to the live that you did, Fiona, on Denise's live, where, Deborah blocks me because I happen to say that I'm starting to respect Michelle and because I went on MMD's live. No, no, it's not like that at all. No, not at all. It's not because Trevor was of the opinion that MMD and I weren't friends anymore. Hey, Debs. No, that you had lied to him. You had gone to him and lied to him that I could not be trusted because you were scared of MMD. So you told him I couldn't be trusted based on nothing. You confirmed that to me, Debs. I'm more than happy to show those screenshots. More than happy where you've admitted that you lied. No? What about the fact that after I went on MMD's live, Trevor phoned MMD shitting him out that how dare you have that woman on your panel that goes around abusing me? Have I? Trevor, I'd love to see those receipts. When have I abused you, Trevor? I did one ex post holding you to account for calling women cunts. That's not continually abusing you, mate. If your skinny's so thin, why don't you fuck off the internet like you tell everyone else? Just asking. Okay, let's get on. Let's move on. Okay, so I know for a fact Trevor's had a conversation with Lloyd about the four-way conversation. Who asked MMD if she knew what has transpired. MMD called Trevor to address the misinformation. Trevor told her to fuck off. Nice, isn't it? What a gentleman. Becky confirmed to me the day after the four-way conversation that she had had a conversation with Trevor. So Trevor, I ask you, why did you not ask any questions of anyone what really transpired on that four-way conversation before you reacted? Now, stop using PTSD as your weapon and your shield, mate. Own your fucking behavior. Step up, grow a pair, and step up. Okay. So what did that eventuate? What ended up? So I have a conversation with Debs. Trevor loses his marbles. What happens? He has a live where he abuses us. He comes on and names me, calls me a cunt, not once, 3 times, and claps like a fucking seal. Well, that's slander, mate. I'm not going to stand for your fucking abuse. You can go around abusing other women. I will not stand for your abuse. You're a little man who has to hide behind the protection of women and abuse women at the same time. You're a little man, a coward. Okay, so this, what is on the screen now, is my discussion with Deborah about the live. Because I was actually at work. And in a break, I happened to see chatter that in Lloyd's live, that Trevor had had a live. And I'd asked her, did Trevor do a live about Lloyd? And you can see her answers there. She came out and blatantly lied to me about Trevor's live. So not only has she lied about the fact of who was communicated about the conversation, because she told me, no, she never told Trevor. No, she didn't tell Trevor. No. Now we know she did. She lied about that. She then lied about the fact of Becky and throwing Becky under the bus. She then lied about Trevor's life to me. And then she comes out when I actually do find out what it is, and I fall apart because Trevor having 170 something thousand and I've got only 100 subscribers, and I fall apart. Not because I'm thin-skinned, Trevor, because I've actually taken a shitload of abuse for you, mate, over 2 years. A shitload of abuse. I wear it proudly with what I've actually gone through and the resilience I've got. She lies to me and says, oh, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Oh, shame. Didn't want to hurt your feelings, Bron. A real friend doesn't fucking lie to another friend. Okay. I'd like to draw your attention to the bit in red because I think this is quite important. This is talking about Trevor. Just that he didn't interact with you and didn't know you, but knew what was going on through a couple of people, meaning me as one of them. Who the others? Fiona, perchance? Yes, easily guessed. Yes, he was annoyed about the screenshot. That happens to be the one about Alex. But he didn't know it was from you at that point. So let's touch on that for a little bit, okay? What was spoken about here is that I shared with Slime a screenshot about Alex, and I was trying to address a lie that was in the community about Alex being abused, and myself as Candor's channel manager doing nothing to protect Alex. So I sent an email to Slime from my email address with my name, sharing the facts of the matter. And that came up in a live. Well, Fiona lost her marbles about that one. How dare I do that? Off she runs to Trevor, tells on Trevor that there's an image of you where I happen to say to Deborah, can you influence Trevor? Well, evidently he doesn't get influenced. I call bullshit on that too. Because Deborah absolutely influences her. She's got him on a puppet. She's a puppet on a string with him. And I'll prove it. Okay? I get blocked from Fiona. Surprise, surprise. Now, let me ask a question. Did Fiona not send a whole lot of emails and private messages of Vivian's, of Gertie Rude's, to Slime to take down Gertie Rude? Did she not? So what's the difference with me sending that to Slime? Or is it only content creators that can do that? Stupid, useful idiots like me aren't allowed to do that. Is that right, Fiona? Only you can do that? Or what about you, Debs? No. You send a thing with my name on it, but you don't even have the courage to put it under your name. You send it under an anonymous account. And how do I know that, Debs? Because I actually accused Lee of doing that. Because there's only 3 people that would have had, maybe 4 people that would have had that information. And I thought it was Lee. I incorrectly accused her. And for once, you actually had the courage to be honest. And you said, actually, no, Bron, it wasn't Lee, it was me, but please don't tell. Please don't tell that I shared that. Funny how you're willing to throw me under the bus, to prove a point against Vivian. Okay. So let's talk about triangulation. Hopefully you've seen here at the moment that Deborah is the genesis of all of us. So what do I mean by that? Okay. If somebody wanted to communicate anything to Trevor in this community today, it will go through Deborah. Same with Fiona. Deborah is a gatekeeper. Why did I have a direct communication with Fiona? Well, I actually had a connection with Fiona before Deborah did. But let me tell you, most of the communication was through Deborah. Okay. So let's be very clear. Trevor, when things go wrong, you don't blame the subs. You blame the people controlling the information, and that's either you or your personal assistant. That's the basic chain of command stuff. You know that, Trevor. Come on, you're from the military. You know this shit. Trevor has admitted over and over again that he goes by what people tell him, by whoever has his ear. He literally just said this week that the backbone of his channel is his personal assistant, Deborah, his lead moderator, Deborah. So let me ask the people watching this, do you honestly think Denise and Cindy had direct, immediate access to Fiona? Do you think that? No. No, that would have gone through Deborah. This is how it works. She sets up small groups, she manages them, and once you've proved your loyalty to her, Only then do you get access to Fiona. Okay, subscribers never have direct access to Trevor. He only has access with some content creators. And he said he's got rid of the trash recently. This, ladies and gentlemen, is called triangulation. Okay. This is not the only thing. And these are just a few examples. Okay, I could sit here and give many examples. I just want to set a few examples. What am I showing you here? Well, this was a private conversation that Trevor had with Deborah that she shared with me. Now, why was she showing it to me? Because I think she really wanted to show me the things at the bottom, the arrow at the bottom. Good. Bron worked her ass off to get you the evidence, to clear you, and had your back 100%. Now, this made me feel very nice because it was recognition for work done. I didn't need it, but we'd worked very hard. However, I don't think this is real. Because if you look at the top, I think this is photoshopped. Because if you look at the header of Trevor, why does it slant down from the left to the right? So Trevor, I urge you, have a look to see if this matches your WhatsApp message. Because I don't think it's right. I'm sorry, I didn't buy it then, and I don't buy it now. And are you aware that Debs is sharing your private conversations? Just asking. Denise, you've had a lot to say about Trevor and Fiona in the community. Debs doesn't trust you. Yep. Should have believed Blair. Blair was right all along, and I owe her an apology, and I've actually have apologized to Blair. Yeah. Trevor told me that Fiona told him that she goes on Slime's channel just to annoy Michelle and Gertie. It's all to keep the drama going. It's what gets them up in the morning. Anyways. So Debs, I'm asking you a serious question. Are you pulling a Jane still? Debs, are you the fake Trevor Coult MC account? Playing both sides keeps the drama going, Debs. Keeps the monetization, keeps the views. I'm just asking. Okay. So Trevor, if the slander and defamation continues on your channel about me or anywhere else online, I will take this to court. Because at this point, discovery speaks for itself. I don't care how much money you got, mate. You've picked on the wrong girl. It is very obvious that Trevor's latest video was to deflect from his atrocious, abusive behaviors against a female content creator. Bookworm. His passive-aggressive apology, and I've got that in quotes, to Meghan Markle's debacles, to MMD, was to appease his subscribers into thinking he has actually shifted the scales and should be forgiven. He didn't apologize. In my opinion, he didn't apologize to MMD. But now if he's coming to, save her and to show her who's the liar, okay, maybe he thinks that's an apology. Trevor, grow a pair and apologize to MMD, to Lloyd, to Becky, and to Jane. Step up, mate. Grow a pair. So I'll leave it to MMD whether this was an acceptable apology. I can't speak on her behalf. I can tell you, I think it was atrocious. My seeking answers has nothing to do with revenge, bitterness, or retaliation. I'm here to tell you the truth. My truth, in my words, with no spin or fear, because for the first time in a long time, I actually think that I can speak without any fear that'll be held against me. So I find a lot of peace. Now I offered Debs and Fiona a lot of time to answer questions that I had. They chose to lie about me. They chose to manipulate me. They've chosen to try to dismiss me. They've tried to break me. I'm not broken. Okay? I know exactly what happened. I'm not perfect, but I'm not going to allow you to come here and rip my credibility to shreds so you can protect your criminality. I know exactly what was said, and I'm finally speaking up without worrying about backlash or manipulations. And no amount of intimidation from Goliath will stop David from exposing who the real manipulation behind the data is, behind the game. So bring it on, Trevor. Bring it on, Fiona, and bring it on, Debs, because I am not going away. And you can try to intimidate all of my friends as much as you want to. I am not going away. Own it. Okay. Now what I'd like to show is the last time when we were together, I showed you my letter to Fiona. Okay, well, gloves off now. You're courting my integrity. This is her response to me. Okay. Remember the whole kayfabe, the love, pull, hate relationship? Okay, I will put the link to the letter that I wrote, which I thought was only kind to Fiona. This was her response to me. Dear Brod, I love you. Please forgive me. I believe you 100%. I would never attack you, and I'm so sorry I've hurt you. Really, Fiona? Did you not participate with Debs in the abuse that I got from Kendall? Were you not part of those anonymous emails that were sent pretending to be me, attacking Kando on a daily basis? No? Okay. I didn't intend my words to hurt you. I meant them in the highest regard. You've been battered. Haven't watched Kando in ages. I know he did a live immediately after I blocked him, calling me names, but that's because I hurt him. I am a bad person. I am not strong or brave or nice, and I'm not worthy of anything you've done for me. For once, Fiona, you are actually telling the truth. You need to look after yourself, darling Bron, and for the record, everyone holds you in very high regard. You just don't see it. And were you lying then, Fiona, or are you lying now when you're sending messages to MMD telling her that I could never be trusted? Were you lying then, Fiona? Were you lying when MMD first connected with me and we became friends and you sent a message going, oh, I don't know if you can trust Bron? Based on what, Fiona? What have I done to you these last 2 years besides stand up and defend you? I've lied for you. Look at yourself, because it doesn't look good. Seriously, it doesn't look good, and people are starting to notice. Honestly, you question my integrity? There's nothing. You guys have got no fucking integrity. So, the one and only thing that I did to Trevor that resulted in me that I'm continuously abusing him was this. This was the next post that I put on my X account recently, okay? Where I've had enough of him calling women cunts. So this was actually after he went after Ava. On a live, he at least had the decency to call her a cunt to her face. Couldn't do it with me. Trevor, I will call you out every single day of the week that you call a woman a cunt. You hide behind old granny skirts to get protection. Whilst doing that, you abuse women. And everyone who sits and defends Trevor, Deborah, Cindy, Denise, Fiona, all of you are enablers to this abuse. Every single one of you. If you cannot stand up for a woman and say to Trevor, stop abusing a woman and calling them that name, you are enablers. You don't like it? Well, maybe your skin is too thin and you should fuck off the internet. That's his advice, not mine. You were quite happy the day that I went in full defense for Fiona when Megan's mole said her vagina smelt. Oh, Bronwyn's an absolute hero. But how dare you criticize Trevor? Well, how dare you, Trevor, call a woman a cunt? How dare you? Okay. And I will leave you with the email that I wrote to Trevor that he said was vile. Okay. So let's finish with this. Hi, Trevor. I'm asking for the respect of you taking the time to read this. Now, why did I say that? Because I knew it was a little bit long. Trevor can't go anything more than a paragraph. So I'm asking him to do this. I've always held you the highest respect for your service, for your military cross, and for the sacrifices you made. I also recognize the influence and trust that you hold over 174,000 subscribers. Well, it's 177,000 now because he's bought a few more subs. With that level of reach comes responsibility in how others are spoken about. You may not know that for several months, I volunteered a significant amount of my time and energy to help Lloyd develop his channel and content. During that period, we became friendly, and I genuinely believed we were working towards a shared goal. I actually know that we did. It was your shared goal, Trevor. You set up Lloyd to be the channel that you got messy on. There were difficult moments, yes, but I always acted in good faith and with the intention of supporting others. One of these difficult moments was when I stood up for him for the way he spoke to and about my friend Cindy. Yeah. Paid a price for that, didn't I? After that, I was subjected to 6 weeks of sustained harassment and abuse from Lloyd during his live streams, targeted, public, and deeply distressing. It pushed me to my breaking point. For half that time, I chose silence. I hoped that if I remained respectful and did not react, the attacks would stop. But eventually it became necessary for me to defend myself. Unlike others you speak of, I didn't have someone stepping in publicly to challenge the lies and mistreatment directed at me. There was no Sean supporting me the way he protected Becky, and no Trevor defending me as he defended Fiona. I lost my husband to cancer 4 years ago, and I was facing this completely alone, without the community support that you and Fiona are very fortunate to have behind you. My channel you refer to was never created to attack anyone. So remember in the cunt live that he called me a cunt 3 times, he called me irrelevant. Okay? My channel you refer to was never created to attack anyone, but to give myself a voice when I had none. It was always intended to be temporary, and its small audience reflected that. Everything I shared there was based on my genuine experience and understanding of events at the time. This is why it's so hurtful when in recent members-only live stream on Tuesday, you chose to mock and criticize me publicly without reaching out to ask what had actually happened or why I had felt the need to speak up. Why couldn't you, Trevor? You, this leader, this amazing leader that's got an MC, a military cross behind his name, awarded by the Queen, a leader comes and asks, why couldn't you come and ask me? Debs knew who I was. You did too, mate. You did too. Okay? You may not have known that I was a paying member of your channel. How embarrassing. Yep. Hearing those comments from someone I defended and respected caused significant emotional harm. After weeks of being on the topic of repeated hostile live stream discussions where false statements and personal attacks against me were made, your words were simply the moment that pushed me beyond what I could continue to endure. Yes, Trevor, you pushed me, not Lloyd, not Candle. You pushed me to wanting to end my life. No one deserves to be called the names you used. No woman deserves that, especially from someone she stood up for quietly and consistently. For 2 years, Deborah and I advocated for you, for Fiona, and for Graham because you all were facing overwhelming challenges, including a terminal cancer diagnosis and the fear, grief, and uncertainty that comes with it, as well as the burden of trauma from wartime service. You, Trevor. I stepped in because I saw three human beings who deserved support and dignity. My actions were driven purely by compassion and principle, not the need for recognition and praise. So no need, Trevor, to do little silly claps for me. Childish, mate, childish. Deborah and I were not alone in that. Others chose to join in the efforts to challenge the harassment and false accusations directed at you. People like Blair, Duchess of North Sussex, Lady Luck, Lee Curious L, our recollections may vary, stood beside us because we believed protecting others from harm was the right thing to do. And actually, I've left somebody out here. Gertie Rude was instrumental with trying to support you and Fiona. Instrumental. More recently, you have also had the dedicated support of Meghan Markle's debacles, who has worked tirelessly to gather evidence and advocate for fairness. All of us showed up because we believed in defending the truth and supporting you through an incredibly difficult period. For me personally, the cost of stepping up was significant. I'm not asking for sympathy, only for the reality of that to be acknowledged. I chose to advocate openly using my real identity rather than hide behind an anonymity as I was falsely accused of doing. I was accused of being Fiona. So I came out as Bronwyn Thomas. Things that you, Trevor, say that you admire. Okay? But as a direct result of me doing that, I was targeted for 9 months by trolls who associated my support for you, Fiona, and Graham. They contacted my employer more than 230 times, attempting to get me fired, including as recently as 3 weeks ago. This was the time when I wrote the email, which was about 2 months ago. I was also subjected to 2 separate occasions where fabricated, explicit AI images were created and distributed of me. The first were sent to both my church and my employer. They were malicious and false. The second occasion occurred only recently, where these images were made of Fiona, yourself, and myself in explicit sexual poses. I do believe, Trevor, I was giving you a blowjob. They were manipulated photographs. They also even manipulated photographs of my dead husband and targeted my son. Actions that crossed every boundary of decency. So now to be told, we never asked you, as if that somehow erases that what was endured while defending you is deeply hurtful. Real friends don't have to ask. Now you'll say, I was never your friend. I was Fiona's. I was Deb's. And Deborah would die for you, Trevor. Do you know, Trevor, that she said to me that if it came to it, she would choose me over you? I don't think you know that. Okay, back to this. Respect and loyalty cannot be conditional or one-sided. Support does not become irrelevant simply because circumstances have changed. I want to address clearly why I used WhatsApp messages, written in voice, as evidence to defend myself. Doing so goes against my personal ethics and my strong belief that private communication should remain private. It should. I do not take this lightly. MMD today received private communication 10 minutes before her live. Debs, did you supply that? All bets are off now, guys. You can't you can't use that and then not allow me to come and defend myself. Okay? My silence was being taken as admission, and those false claims are causing real damage to my reputation and emotional well-being. When misinformation about somebody is broadcast publicly, sometimes the only way to correct the record is to provide factual proof of what actually happened, and that's what I'm doing tonight, Trevor. I shared only what was necessary to stop the ongoing lie, nothing more. Separately, I want to explain the specific WhatsApp message that involved your name. You were referenced because I urgently was trying to de-escalate a situation online where somebody was emotionally distressed and directing harmful messages towards you and Lloyd. This was Alex. Okay? On a Sunday, Alex was putting communication out about you and Candor about what? live? Trevor, can you remember what live? Yes, that live that you went on drunk on candles and you abused Megan's mole and her son. Yep. I was out defending your name, your honor. Okay? Spending 6 hours of my time defending your ass, mate, because you were drunk. Okay? My message was intended to alert somebody close to you that the situation was escalating, aka Deborah, and the infant intervention might prevent further targeting of you. That message later became part of the defense that I was trying to show Slime that I was actually defending Alex, helping Alex, because he said no one on our side of the fence helped him. We did. We got the help that he needed that day. We got police action to help him. Again, in your honor, Trevor, protecting you, protecting your ass. When I later shared that context more widely, it was only after every other attempt to stop the abuse from Lloyd failed. I was exhausted, frightened, and desperate to be heard and for the harm to stop. I wish I'd never been pushed to that point or into that situation at all. I regret the entire chain of events ever occurred. I regret standing up for you, Trevor. I regret doing stuff to protect your fucking reputation. But regret does not mean that I was wrong to defend myself. I have the right to protect my reputation and my well-being. I will not allow my intentions to be twisted into something that they never were. While I'm deeply disappointed about what you said about me in your live stream where you called me a cunt 3 times, I do want to acknowledge something important. That week before on Candles Live, you made it clear when you were asked by Michelle to denounce me, you stated that I had done nothing against you. So Trevor, why now am I the liar? If you stood up on that live with Candle that I've done nothing against you, why am I the liar? You remember, you don't know me, you've never met me, you've never had any communication with me. Or was that just for the drama, Trevor? Because that's what I was told after the fact that after that live with Michelle, you said, was that drama enough? I respected that honesty at that moment. You and I had barely spoken outside a handful of interactions on Lloyd's panel, and that's truthful. The only time you and I have ever discussed is when I was on Lloyd's panel, on Candle's panel. Okay? What heard was a sudden shift. You spoke harshly about me without knowing the context about the WhatsApp messages or understanding the weeks of public abuse I was subjected to, not just by Lloyd, but by others on his panel who encouraged and participated in that harassment. Becky was one who encouraged and, yeah, Becky who was feeding Lloyd. With, I believe, now Fiona and Deborah as well. I felt like I was being punished for defending myself after being pushed to a breaking point. So given your leadership role, remember you wear that MC medal with pride. You're a member, a leader in this community, Trevor, okay? So given your leadership role, your life experience, and a significant influence you hold, I hope for a more measured approach. Perhaps a conversation first or even a pause to ask why before assuming the worst. To this point, very few have publicly defended me. The most notable examples was your challenge to Michelle on Candles Live and MMD saying publicly that the treatment of me had gone too far. Funny how you're trying to conquer and divide us now. Gosh, you're working hard at that, hey? Since she has been treated harshly simply for advocating for fairness, it is important to clarify that when you were discussed in the 4-way WhatsApp group call, she defended you. That part has been lost in the retelling. I ask that she's not painted with the same brush as others. As for me, I own my actions. I've explained why. Desperation of weeks of relentless harassment. I was simply trying to stop the harm that had been done to me when no one else was stepping in. I've showed loyalty where it genuinely mattered. Alongside Deborah, I worked to stop the harassment you and Fiona were subject to on X by those aligned with Atlanta of Arcadia. And with Deborah and MMD, we revealed the individual behind Bad Mummy Mandy account. Something that at the time was causing you significant amount of stress. Or that's what I was led to believe. Were you not questioned about the Bad Mummy Mandy account, Trevor, by the police? Were you not called in to the police? I thought it was unfair scrutiny from authorities, but maybe you actually knew about that account. Maybe you asked certain people to set it up. To go after your neighbor. I don't know. I've heard a few different versions now. We exposed the individual behind the Weasel and the Skunk channel, targeting you and Fiona extensively. We also helped. I lodged most of the copyright claims against that channel. Yeah. You might not know that, Trevor, but that's what happened. We also helped bring forward information regarding Kaylee Rayner that led to police action. Also, I'm led to believe. Did I get too close to Kaylee Rayner, Trevor? Because that's what that's what Deb has told me. Every time I've asked her, why have I been thrown to the curb? And what was it, Debs? And she said, oh, Bron, I think maybe you got too close to Kaylee Rayner. My question to you is, did you, I don't know, get a deal with the police around Kaylee Rayner and Atlanta of Arcadia? Or was that all a lie? Was Kaylee not interviewed by the police? The 6 names that you shared with Debs that happened to be all your enemies, was that a lie? Just questions, Trev. You might want to answer them. Maybe in your next live you can do that. We exposed the creation and distribution of abusive AI-generated sexualized images, targeting not only me, but you and Fiona as well. That was done to protect all of us from further harm. I did not do any of this for praise or thanks, but I also did not do it to be later mocked or dismissed. My mental health has been significantly impacted by the sustained harassment I experienced. This has gone far beyond what anyone would consider normal online conflict. It has been prolonged, targeted, and deeply harmful. So at that stage, I'm now focused on moving forward with boundaries, clarity, and self-respect. I sincerely hope that everyone involved finds the strength, dignity, and peace needed to bring this situation to a close and to avoid further harm. So for anyone who's still listening, and I really appreciate anyone who's still listening because I've been rather animated on this video, and I'll apologize for that, but I'm actually quite angry. Is this email Val that was shared with Trevor, who didn't have the courage to read it? Seriously, mate, grow a pair. Lastly, Cindy, I understand that you've put out blackmail to MMD to come clean about Candle's fake suicide thing. You really want to do that, Cindy? No, I would do that if you had any integrity. Yeah. If you didn't send me Amy's full identity that I've been holding secret for you, that I lied for you. No. You know, you also gave Candle's phone number to Slime, didn't you? Didn't you ask me for Candle's address to give to Becky's husband? I wouldn't go there, Cindy. I want to thank everyone who stayed with me to this far. Hopefully this has proven who the real liar is. And I can tell you right now, I had no way of having a conversation with Trevor to result in Trevor going on and actually calling all 4 of those people a cunt. Debs, darling, that was you. You need to own Own it instead of trying to set me up as a full victim because Trevor fucked up. Trevor, you owe an apology to a number of people. Don't bother apologizing to me, mate, because you can stick it up your ass. But you owe an apology to at least MMD. I think you also owe an apology to Jane, an apology to Becky, an apology to Lloyd. Okay? I don't want anything from you, mate, but you mention me one more time, and trust me, I will see you in court for defamation. And I look forward to discovery because that's where I'll get the truth. And with that, I wish everyone good night and have a great Wednesday.